everyone, I'm Shannon Montoya. I am the newest member of the Moss Consulting team, and I'm so excited to be sitting here today with Nicole to talk about some of the trends and pressing issues in the world of HR today.
Oh yes, my name is Nicole Moss. I'm the co-founder of Moss Consulting, and we're just going to chat about what's going on in the small business world today.
So why don't we start off, Nicole? Tell me some of the big trends you are seeing so far this year that are affecting business owners in terms of HR.
Yeah, there's two big ones. Remote work. Employees, we're back from COVID. Employees have proven that they can work remote, and some employers are okay with that and others aren't. And so we've helped employers say, hey, no, we're coming back into the office full time. We've helped employers say we're going to do this 9-80 schedule, which is working 80 hours over 9 days, so that there's a Friday off every other week. We've helped with a hoteling schedule where employers they'll lessen their lease, and so that they can just have a few desks here and there, and employees will hotel at those desks where if they want to come in, they can. If they don't want to, they work from home. And we've helped employers send their employees all the way home where it's a completely remote environment. And so, every business has its own needs, and we're here to help kind of flex with them on how to make that dream come true. And the other pressing issue that we've noticed in 2024 and in Q4 of 2023 was younger employees wanting to join the group health plan. So this is great in a couple of ways. One, employees under the age of 26 are wanting to become more independent. They want to be on their own health plan. They want to be able to get off of their parents' plan. And it also is great for employers because we're getting a younger demographic onto the census, so that when we go out and shop benefits, it could really impact in a good way their premiums and their rates.
Got it. In talking about remote and hybrid, back to the office work, you mentioned that culture plays a big role in that. Talk to us a little bit about what employers can be doing and business owners can be doing to promote a positive culture with their team.
Sure. Communication and really understanding that an employee's life is not their work. It is a small sliver of their life in the grand scheme. They have friends and family and children and hobbies. There's so much more to life than just work. And I think that when employers can understand that and accept that, we can truly create a work-life balance. And I think that just comes with communication and care. And that's different depending on your work environment. If you're 100% in the office, it's a different touch point than if you're remote. And so I think that culture it's so important. It's huge in the retention plan of employees. And it's just understanding, 1, your business, 2, the goal of your business, and 3, just your team as a whole. Our workforce is getting younger, and there are different needs for Gen Z coming into the workforce and millennials kind of managing that group. And it's just being flexible, clearly communicating the values and the goals of the business, and then listening.
Great. What do you think are the most important aspects of onboarding new employees?
Again, it all comes back to clear communication. Starting a new job is stressful. We've all been there. It's stressful, and it's not only starting this new job where you have to do new tasks and have these responsibilities and deadlines. It's coming into a workspace that you're meeting a bunch of new people, and you're having to remember their names, and you're having to remember the office layout and the politics of a new office. It's a lot. And so I think the more clear we can be with our employees as to what to expect, what's expected of them, and being very, very clear about every little thing in the onboarding process creates the step 1 of a retention plan for an employee.
And I actually think that's something that Moss Consulting, a value that we really bring to your clients. when an employee is in the day-to-day trenches of their job, sometimes it's hard for them to step back and remember what it's like to be a brand new employee. And I think your team is able to really approach the onboarding process with that fresh pair of eyes and think through kind of the full experience of a new employee, something as simple as understanding where the bathroom is in the office, or understanding dress code, some of those really simple things that someone who's really entrenched in the day-to-day might not think about.
Right. And we talked separately that, we as employees and employers that live in this day-to-day of our daily jobs and our daily tasks and leadership, that it's so easy to take the little things for granted of like you said, like, where is the bathroom? Should I bring my lunch? Where do I put my lunch? Little things that help it seems little to us. It's like, oh, well, go figure it out, put it in the fridge. To someone who's brand new with this just kind of overload of excitement and nerves and just general emotion, those little decisions feel really big, and that
are
just
magnified.
It's just stress. And so to clear that up before they even get to the office is, I think it's just kind.
Yeah.
And it just helps.
Makes them feel good.
Yeah. And, we say all the time that how you onboard will directly impact your retention plan. You have an employee that feels supported and that knows what's expected. It really sets the tone for how they're going to be managed, how they're going to be supported in their life cycle of their employment, that hopefully lasts a really long time.
On that note, thinking through their cycle at a company, on the flip side of the coin in terms of onboarding, what are the most important things to think about when offboarding an employee?
2 words come to mind: respect and strategy. So, offboarding an employee, whether voluntarily or non-voluntarily, there's a matter of respect that should be given to the employee, and in hopes you will get that respect back. That's not always the case. We know that. But even if the case is that it's a very contentious termination, treating this employee with respect, understanding that they're going through a major life change of losing their job, they're losing their livelihood for a little while, likely losing benefits, whether for cause or not, that's stressful. And no one wants to be in that position. So I think looking at that and really having empathy for that person is very important, because that person's going to go get another job, and that person is going to talk about their past employers, and that kind of gossip, that kind of chat moves very quickly, especially in a market like Austin or Houston or Dallas. These cities aren't as big as they seem. It's a pretty connected world out there. And the other thing is strategy. Termination requires strategy. It is very risky for a business owner to do it incorrectly. And it is amazing how resourceful exiting employees can be. So making sure that everything is documented, that there has been a clear plan to the termination. And so we can help with that. We can come in and look at your termination strategy and your deboarding strategy, and just make sure that in this intense situation, not only for the employee, but also for the employer, it's never fun to tell someone that they no longer have a job with you. But to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and everything's buttoned up, that's the strategy part of it.
Right. I also think as employers, it's a unique opportunity in terms of the strategic listening that can happen in those exit interviews.
Yes.
It's really one of the only opportunities employees feel like they can share feedback consequence-free.
Yes.
Right? And I think, many times you need to take that with a grain of salt and kind of filter through. But if you are capitalizing on that opportunity to listen to the feedback that an exiting employee is sharing, you really are getting some valuable insight in terms of your first level management, in terms of performance assessment, all of these things that, should you be kind of turning a blind eye to that, you're probably missing out on some opportunities for you to go in and do some improvements with your team.
Right. Yeah. And these employees know each other. And so what your exiting employee might feel like, you said, is this kind of no consequence feedback that your current employees are like, oh, I can't tell them this. This
right.
what do they say? Don't bite the hand that feeds me. And I think that for those exit interviews, I think that that's a step in the offboarding process that is skipped so often because especially as small business owners, that feedback is tough. You know, that it's hard to hear. And like you said, you have to take it with a grain of salt, but it's such an important step to the offboarding process for, again, back to the retention and the growth of your current employees to help keep them happy and supported and always learning.
And I think it's just one piece of the strategy that Moss Consulting can bring to a client that you talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What are a few things employers can be thinking about in terms of training their employees?
Sure. I think slow down, be very clear and deliberate, and remember that just because we do this all day, every day, this new person doesn't. This is all new to them. So even things like explaining file structure is important. Where do I find resources is important. And really taking the time to be deliberate in the delivery, having a plan before they come on of like, what does this training look like? And then I always feel like I learn better when I'm teaching. So to have them, once they say, okay, I think I've got it, say, hey, train me. And I think that as management and as leaders, we can learn things from a new person's perspective and say, hey, what if we did it this way or that way that could be more efficient? But I think overall it's slowing down, taking the time to be patient, taking the time to explain every little thing, just like with onboarding, really explaining every tiny little thing. And I think that Shannon, with you joining the team, that's what you're very good at, is explaining the step-by-step and helping with the training. So I'm really excited to have you come on and help build out our LMS system that we're going to provide to our clients that will teach employees the little things, not only about what they need to know as far as compliance and things like that, but industry specific, client specific things. I think that that's where you're really going to shine is helping to build that out.
And you know, I think an LMS is a great example of thinking about how do different ways different people learn.
Yes.
And having another way and another resource for employee to learn something new or revisit a topic that they maybe need a little bit of a refresher on. And so having a built out training program and strategy for training employees and developing employees, something that you and your team provide your clients, you know, having that built out with opportunities to flex and say, you as an individual, you really learn by watching. Right. Let's have you shadow someone. You really learn by reading. Let's make sure we have time for you to get on the LMS and read this documentation. You really excel by doing. Let's have you do it and teach me, like you said. So it's really finding that balance between a built out program that our clients can go to with that little bit of wiggle room to figure out like what's the best way for me to customize this delivery so my employees are going to receive it in the best way.
I love that. Yes. And I think that that's so important to bring up, that everyone learns differently. And if you have one way of teaching and one way of giving information, not everyone's going to excel with that. And I think that we do need to give everyone the opportunity to be successful. And that just takes time in learning about them and asking questions and going back to creating this safe space of someone who might say privately to us, hey, I have dyslexia. Reading instruction is very difficult for me. We can give them a video and they can watch the video or have them do. So yes, everyone should have a way to learn.
At what point should employers shop the benefits market? And is there a certain number of employees, or call it like a growth milestone, when they should stop and review their current benefit plan?
Yes. I think that everyone should always be challenging their benefit cost every year. And, there's several ways to do that. One, we're partnered, Moss Consulting is partnered with some of the best brokers in the state of Texas, and it's taken a lot of trial and error to get there. But we're heavily partnered with two very specific brokers that we love to introduce to our clients. Of course, they can choose to work with whoever they want. What I like about working with Kirk Ashey and Jeff Pesick with Shepherd and Walton, as well as Ford Clemens with Higginbotham, is that they truly truly advocate for their clients. And it's saying there's really, you can have 5 employees. Benefits are just as important to those 5 people as if you have 500 employees. It's
Right.
just as important. And so the cost of that and making an analysis and saying, if your average income for a client, for one of our clients' employees is $45,000 and that's their average income, having a plan that has a $10,000 deductible or a $6,000 deductible or even a $5,000 deductible, that's emergency insurance for them. That's not solving the problem.
Right.
On the flip side, if you have a very large company and that's all over, their salaries are all over the board, we can do banded benefits. And I'm only regurgitating what I've heard from Kirk and Jeff and Ford, but that's the kind of strategy that by partnering with us, you get to partner with them, and they can come in, and we've come up with some incredibly strategic solutions for small and large companies.
How does Moss Consulting give your clients, employees, the feel of having an internal HR team? And what would you say you're doing, to keep in touch with them and have them feel like you're part of the office on a day-to-day?
Yeah, we're just there through many forms of communication. So when we onboard a client, we do one-on-ones with employees, and we really want to meet them, and we want to hear what they have to say, what's their experience been so far, and create a connection. Because these employees, when they need us, it's not for small stuff, and it's for important it's events in their life. That impacts their livelihood. So getting married and changing your name. Having a child that needs to go on benefits. Perhaps you're getting a divorce and you need to drop your spouse from your coverage. Many other things. All the things that people are coming to us with are very personal in nature. And so number one is we create connections with these employees, and everyone on the Moss Consulting team really cares about people. We got into HR because we're passionate about helping people. We're passionate about creating a no judgment zone that people can come to us with whatever issues that they're having, and we can help solve and improve whatever's going on. And we do that by being present. So because we're outsourced, and some people get nervous about that word, outsourced or fractional, I think if you talk to any of our clients, their employees know us and we know them, and we go into the office. And when we can't go into the office, we set up, we have a landing page for all of our clients that it's us on video talking to them. And if there's no update, it's just us saying, hey, hope you're enjoying the warmer weather. We're here if you need us. They're able to submit tickets for service, which, if they need to change their name, they can submit a ticket. Someone on our team will help them. And if it's something more personal or something a little more private that they wanted to talk to someone at a director level like yourself or me, they can book time on our calendars. So we make ourselves available in a multitude of ways, also while being in the office.
Love that. When should employers consider using an HR outsourcing plan like Moss Consulting?
All the time.
Right now.
right now. I think that I'm very passionate about what we do. And it's very exciting to have you on the team because it really does expand what we're able to offer and the services that we're able to offer. And we are going through and working with companies that have 5 employees. We're working with companies that have 500 employees and everything in between. And all of those clients are in different industries and have different work environments, and so there's very little that hasn't come across our desks at this point. Right. I know you have 10 years of experience. I'm coming up on 15 years of experience in this world, and I still joke that I'm surprised that I'm still surprised sometimes.
Right.
But for the most part, there's not been something that has come across our desks that would shock us anymore. And so I think that having an outsourced HR team is so beneficial because we're looking at things from every angle, and we're saying, hey, this might be new to you, but we've dealt with this 100 times, in different industries, and we've looked at this in different ways. We're also able to plug in an entire team to any company. So instead of hiring one full-time employee that might be at an HR generalist level, you're getting 2 HR directors, an HR manager, and an HR specialist with Moss Consulting. And sometimes you need all 4 of us. Other times you might just need 1 of us. And so we're able to expand and contract to the needs of any business with no minimum requirements of what they need. We're just here when you need us in the capacity that you need us, with more experience than 1 full-time employee can bring.
Are there any indicators that can tell a business owner that they need HR help?
Yes. One would be the person that's been in the office running all the things, doing like 3 different jobs, like operations and administration and HR. They're going to retire. They've been there for a long time. They know the ins and outs of everything. Internally, most of the time in those situations, someone can take the administrative piece and take the operation piece. But the human resource aspect of a business, it's so special and it is so intricate. And a lot of the times in a retirement situation, they start looking outward and say, gosh, I don't know that we have a full-time amount of work to bring on another full-time employee. So that would be a great time for us to plug in and really kind of, like we've talked about in the last few minutes, of really plug in, get to know the team and help out there. A more common situation is when a company has experienced hypergrowth and the administrative assistant or office manager or executive assistant or even a COO has been doing the HR, and they're like, oh, how hard could it be? How much time can it take? And then they experience growth and it's like, oh my goodness, no one has the bandwidth for this. However, there may not be a full-time position. So.
Right.
Or a full-time amount of work. So that's really, and for us, that's a great time to come in, because we can really come in and look at an onboarding process and create an HR strategy and a budget and a plan for growth and for retention. And those are really the fun groups to work with. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I love working with entrepreneurs because I am one. We're all a little crazy in a really cool way. And I think that creative entrepreneurs are so good at what they do. They got into business to do what they do. Managing people technically isn't one of those skills most of the time. And when a team gets to a certain size, to have another business owner who thinks like you, who understands the fears and the drive and the risk of bringing on human capital, work with you and sit at the table with you and strategize, I think it's an invaluable service that we can bring that not many other outsourced HR companies can do.
Right. And the ramifications of a mistake or getting something wrong in the HR space for an entrepreneur, for someone who's owning their own business,
right,
those can be huge.
Huge, very costly.
And avoidable, right?
Right. And a lot of the times, with HR, the vibe is, oh, we'll figure it out. How hard could it be? And I think for a little while you can. Then something will happen, some really weird thing that you never expected someone to do or say or miss,
right,
will happen, and it feels emergent, and the cost of that can be high, and the reputation of that the impact of that can be large. And so, we're here to come in, and there's never judgment from us. We're always figuring these things out also as business owners. We're going in with people, and what you'll never get from us is judgment. You'll never get any kind of shame or I can't believe you would do it this way. Everyone that works with us is positive. We're helpful, and we want to find solutions that are best for you and that minimize risk for the business.
Love that. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope this is the first of many conversations we have where we get to sit down and tackle some of these topics. And we would love to hear from you guys out there. What questions do you have? What sort of issues are you seeing with your employees or within your own small or medium business? Let us know, and we would love to incorporate that and sit down, and we'd love to share our thoughts with you. So comment below with your questions, like, subscribe, do all the things, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Bye, guys.